Well, you had trouble with Steven Seagal on a film you did together, correct?
Yeah, something like that. He hurt, a few people on the set purposely. And it's like, if you're acting and we're working together, I'm trusting you not to, take advantage of the situation and vice versa, And he put one guy's, stunt guy put his head through the window. He was just supposed to act like he hit him. He actually grabbed the guy and pushed his head through the window, and the one move where he has my arms behind my back, and we're both supposed to drop to the ground at the same time. On cue, I drop and he stays up, dislocated my shoulder.
Really?
But what goes around comes around, and he ended up hurting himself on the set and was out for 2 weeks. So.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Welcome back to Hollywood Pulse. Big love to everyone who's been rocking with us. If you haven't already, smash that subscribe button so you never miss the heat we drop. When someone comes in and schools you at your own game, it hurts. And now, Michael Jai White is done staying quiet. He's finally spilling the real story about what really went down with Steven Seagal. And trust, it's messier than anyone thought. Michael's never been shy about his beef with Seagal, but this time, he's going all in. In a wild new interview, he straight up called Seagal unprofessional, arrogant, and worse, racist. Michael said Seagal walked around like he was better than everybody, and fans are eating this up. This ain't no random drama either. This feud's been brewing since way back in the early 2000s, and Michael's finally letting us know how Seagal almost wrecked his whole career during his prime. Seagal used to be feared in Hollywood, but that tough guy image, Michael says it was all for show. See, Michael Jai White is the real deal, a true martial artist, a champ in tournaments, and majorly respected in the fight world. Unlike Seagal, who, according to Michael, was all bark, no bite, and despite all the tension, they actually did work together a few times. Seagal even had Michael help direct some projects, but everything flipped in 2012. That's when Seagal crossed the line. In an interview, someone asked if he thought Michael was a great fighter. Seagal laughed.
Hollywood tough guy, in your opinion. You accept it, of course.
When you say tough guy, do you mean martial artist or just tough guy?
I mean, Steven, for real. If he was on the street and there was a situation, you wanted this Hollywood guy by your side because he could defend himself. It's that hard to think of a legit one?
Can you think of one?
Michael Jai White.
Can I laugh in your face?
Really?
Yes.
Right in the man's face, then said he didn't respect Michael's career at all. No shock there. Seagal's been known to tear down other fighters just to hype himself up. But doing that to a guy you invited to work with you, that hit different. It turned whatever respect was left into full-on tension. And from there, it got ugly. Back in his prime, Seagal had fans thinking he was the next Bruce Lee. He even packed up and moved to Japan to dive deep into martial arts. And to be fair, he did earn a legit black belt in Aikido, a discipline that's all about using your opponent's force against them. But Michael's saying that behind the scenes, Seagal wasn't living that code. He wasn't about peace or honor. He was about ego, control, and tearing down others. And now, the truth's out. Michael's done playing nice, and Steven's old-school Hollywood image might never recover. Aikido's supposed to be about peace, discipline, and mastering your inner rage, but clearly Seagal didn't get the memo. He married Miyako Fujitani, whose family is straight-up martial arts royalty in Japan, and through that connection, he somehow ended up running their dojo. That made him the first American to ever teach at a traditional Aikido school in Japan. Huge deal, right? Eventually, Seagal dipped back to the US and opened his own dojo in LA, but he had bigger dreams. In 1988, he hit Hollywood with Above the Law, the first American action movie showing off Aikido-style fighting. The film exploded. Suddenly, Seagal was in the same convo as Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and Bruce Willis. Then came Under Siege in '92. Seagal played a Navy SEAL turned cook who wiped out terrorists on a battleship. It was a blockbuster. He became the guy in action films, and by 1995, they dropped a sequel. Under Siege 2, Dark Territory. But behind the scenes, his rep was already cracking. The talk in Hollywood started to get loud. People said working with Seagal was a nightmare. And when he hosted SNL in '91, total train wreck. Lorne Michaels, David Spade, and Tim Meadows all said he was the worst host in the show's history. He disrespected the writers, clashed with cast members, and even refused to do a simple Hans and Franz sketch just because they joked about beating him up once. Petty. But it didn't stop there. Nope, it got way more disturbing. Julia Sweeney later exposed one of Seagal's sketch ideas, and it was wildly inappropriate.
Steven Seagal was so horrible on such a scale. It was such a huge scale of terribleness that it wasn't undeniable by anyone who was there. I remember at one point he locked himself in this dressing room because he said that you're saying Hans and Franz could beat me up and I'm not coming out of the dressing room until you change the sketch. Like, I mean, it was really legendary, crazy.
The story involved a woman who had just been assaulted, and instead of helping her, the therapist character Seagal wanted to play tries to hook up with her. What was he even thinking? Fans weren't just weirded out, they were horrified. That calm Zen warrior mask started slipping fast. Folks began to see Seagal for who he really was, a Hollywood bully who walked around like he was untouchable, disrespecting legends in martial arts, mocking co-stars, and talking down on real fighters like he had something to prove. And when it came time to back that talk up, Seagal was nowhere to be found, always ducking real challenges, always running his mouth. But here's the cold truth. Hollywood don't play that game forever. You can only act like a king for so long before people stop bowing. And for Seagal, the phone stopped ringing. Seagal might have known how to throw a kick, but real acting? Not so much. After Under Siege, his career went straight downhill. From Fire Down Below to The Glimmer Man, it was flop after flop. His name was sinking fast. By 2001, Seagal's stardom was barely hanging on. That's when Exit Wounds came into the picture, his so-called comeback moment. Everything should have worked. Big budget, A-list producers, strong plot, and a stacked cast featuring DMX and Isaiah Washington. And yeah, Seagal even brought in the legend himself, Michael Jai White, a real martial arts beast who's respected worldwide by top-tier fighters. Michael wasn't just another action guy, he was the truth, a real athlete. He wasn't out there fake swinging fists, he was choreographing fight scenes, building intensity with Hollywood's elite, and making sure every move looked authentic. His name was rising fast, and with Exit Wounds lined up, the streets were buzzing. It was supposed to be a blockbuster, but of course, Seagal's ego had other plans. By then, word had already spread. Working with Seagal was a nightmare, especially for stunt performers. He'd go off script, hit people way too hard, and turn simple scenes into real-life danger. Not just little bruises, we're talking serious injuries. One of the worst? 2004. On set for On Deadly Ground, Seagal snapped. During a fight scene with respected stuntman Vaco Thorson, Seagal ignored the choreography and hit him full force in the throat. Vaco was hurt on the spot. That wasn't some accident, that was reckless. And get this, John Leguizamo even called him out too. One time, John cracked a joke when Seagal said he was in charge. Seagal snapped and slammed him into a brick wall, all because his pride got bruised.
That wasn't easy, that was, I did a movie with him called Executive Decision.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah, all three of you saw it.
and the first day we get together for rehearsal with the actors and the director, he comes in, I'm in command. What I say is law. You disagree? And I started cracking. I was like, I thought he was kidding. We were just hanging out.
Yeah.
And he Aikido'd me against a brick wall. Pow! Knocked all the air out of me. I was like, what? What?
John straight up said Seagal couldn't tell the difference between acting like a tough guy and being one in real life. Seagal really thought he was some kind of offset superhero, but during Exit Wounds, things got even worse. The vibe on set, tense. People didn't want to look at him, let alone work with him. Cast and crew were either tiptoeing around or just straight up done with his attitude. He ignored directors, refused to follow camera setups, and wouldn't do anything that made him look weak. Not even simple stuff like running on screen. Even comedian Tom Arnold couldn't stand working with him. But then, things took a dark turn. During a high-risk vehicle stunt, veteran stuntman Chris Lehman suffered a brutal accident. This wasn't some rookie. Chris was experienced, but that day, something went horribly wrong. He fell, hit his head, and had to be rushed to the hospital. Tragically, he didn't make it. The entire set froze. Fear spread like wildfire. One of their own was gone. The stunt team was shaken. Suddenly, everything felt 10 times more dangerous. You'd think that would humble Seagal. That maybe, just maybe, he'd act like a decent human being after all the chaos. But nope, he kept pushing everyone to the edge. Routine stunts became injury zones. Seagal did whatever he wanted, and it was getting dangerous.
The problem I had when I really flared toward him is that he was hurting the stunt guys. And one of my very good friends, a guy named James Liu, and another friend named Nils Stewart, who were nice people, but he would make it a point to like kind of even off camera do things like wrench their arms. He actually tore Mills's bicep for no reason. Just to, and
But how was he afterwards? Was he apologetic or?
The next day he was.
Oh, but right after he was.
Even DMX wasn't safe. Word is Seagal twisted DMX's arm during a scene completely off script and sent him crashing to the ground. DMX was livid. By the time filming was almost over, nobody could wait to see Seagal off that set. People were literally counting the minutes, and that final scene, it was supposed to be a moment for the books. But with all the pain, drama, and tension surrounding it, there was nothing epic about it. It was set up like a classic showdown. Michael Jai White versus Steven Seagal. Real martial artist versus fake tough guy, hero versus villain. The whole movie had been building to this final clash, but what happened behind the scenes? That's where it really got wild. Michael revealed that during those last few days, cast and crew were coming to him, whispering. They didn't want him to just act. They wanted him to drop Seagal for real. People had enough of Seagal's ego. They wanted him humbled, bruised, maybe even gone before the final rap. And let's be honest, Michael could have ended him. He's a world-class martial artist, trained and tested. Meanwhile, Seagal was just a washed-up movie star still pretending he ran the show. Michael had watched him push too many people around. Whatever little respect he had, long gone. But Michael kept it classy. He stayed professional. No revenge, no drama, just business. Still, that final fight scene, straight-up trash. Thanks to Seagal's contract clause, nobody was allowed to actually hit him. Michael couldn't even go full speed. What should have been a jaw-dropping moment turned into a stiff, weak mess. Then in 2012, Seagal laughed during an interview when asked if Michael was a great fighter. That was it. Michael realized the truth. Seagal was just a bitter, insecure man who couldn't handle being near real talent. And Seagal's career? Done. After burning bridges with half of Hollywood, he faded out. These days, he's making low-budget, over-the-top action flicks in random spots like Thailand. But the mess doesn't stop there. Word on the street, Seagal might be dodging legal trouble in the US, which could explain why he's been hiding out in Russia for years. And yep, in case you missed it, Vladimir Putin granted him Russian citizenship in 2016. But that move wasn't random. Seagal had been riding hard for Putin for a while, suddenly claiming Russian roots after Hollywood iced him out. Seagal didn't just cozy up to Putin, he started calling him my brother and praising him as one of the greatest leaders alive. And guess what? Putin gave him Russian citizenship and even handed him an Order of Friendship, claiming it was for cultural and humanitarian contributions. But let's keep it real. This wasn't about culture. Seagal dove headfirst into pro-Russia propaganda, especially once the war in Ukraine erupted. He backed Russia hard, producing multiple films that painted Russians as heroes and Ukrainians as villains. One of the most controversial? In the Name of Justice. In that film, Seagal visits war-torn areas, but instead of showing the pain, the film twists it, blaming Ukrainians and suggesting they deserved it. And it gets worse. In a 2020 clip, Seagal called Ukrainians Nazis and blamed them for starting the war. Since then, he's doubled down, defending Russia at every turn, fueling the spin machine. So what now? Hollywood shut him out, legal heat's rumored back home, and now there's major buzz that he's got serious tax problems in the US. We're talking millions. And one thing's for sure, Uncle Sam doesn't play about taxes, so why else would Seagal pack up and bounce to Russia? No extradition treaty. That's right, he dipped to the one place that can shield him. This ain't no vacation. He's been offloading US properties and settling down like he knows he's never coming back. Meanwhile, Michael Jai White, he saw right through all of it. In a recent interview, he torched Seagal's acting, saying it was so stiff. Anyone's dad could do it. Brutal. Seagal later tried to make peace, reached out, even apologized, but Michael wasn't buying it. He knew it wasn't about owning up, it was pure damage control. And honestly, Michael doesn't even need to say a word anymore. Seagal's ruining his own legacy on his own time. From box office king to hiding in Russia, pushing propaganda, it's one wild fall from grace. If you're still rocking with us, hit that like button, drop a comment, and smash that subscribe so you never miss the next drop. This saga's messy, and it ain't over yet. See you in the next one.